Hi. No, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. You good? Good evening, everyone. Today is the regular meeting for the Lawrence City Council. Today's date is July 16, 2024. Pursuant to Chapter 20 of the Act of 2022, this meeting will be hybrid, allowing participation both in person and at the City Council chambers, as well as remotely. The Zoom link was provided to anybody that requested through email and at the City Clerk office. This meeting will be conducted here, but you can actually watch it or view it through the Lawrence City Council Facebook page, as well as the Lawrence YouTube page. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilor Levy is noted as absent. Councilor LaPlante?
Present.
Councilor Luzon?
Present.
Councilor Del Rosario?
Present.
Councilor Santiago?
Present.
Councilor Marmol?
Present.
Councilor Reyes is noted as absent. Council Vice President Infante?
Present.
Council President Rodriguez?
Present. Please join me for a moment of silence pursuant of the Pledge of Allegiance. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. There is no minute to be approved today, but there is a minute to be reviewed by the councilors. We're going to proceed with public participation. Anybody that wishes to speak, there was a list on the podium. There is anybody that... So the rules of the public participation is everybody is going to have 2.5 minutes to speak. At the 2-minute mark, we're going to have a sounds indicating that you still have 30 seconds. Please refer to the council as a whole, not as an individual councilors. The first person that we have on the list is H. Mali. Name and address for the record, please.
Humayun Mali, 53 Chester Street. Good evening, honorable members. We, the citizen, forever thankful to this honorable council and honorable Mayor Brian De Pena for working so hard so our police officers have a contract. We are proud of you. Lawrence Police, with the impeccable leadership by Honorable Chief Bonilla, doing excellent job to protect our citizens. We are proud to support Lawrence Police Officers Union, Seniors Officers Union. Million thanks to our DPW workers for making Lawrence a beautiful city. We support our DPW union and leadership. Lawrence Inspection Department, thank you for excellent job. We support Lawrence Inspector Union and leadership. We must hire more inspectors. Lawrence Public School, with the impeccable leadership by Honorable Ralph Graham moving forward. Lawrence Teacher, thank you for excellent job. We support Lawrence Teachers Union. Please bring food and donation every Wednesday night to Buckley Garage to help our homeless. We, the citizen, demand the best contract for our firefighters with a 3% COLA raise and hazard pay. Lawrence always is strong. Lawrence always unite. We are proud to be the best example of support of union right. We pray for the safety of all police officers sacrificing their life every day. Lawrence police officer, thank you for working so hard to make Lawrence a safe city. We, the Laurentian, united in support of the Lawrence Police Union, and thank you.
Thank you. The next person that we have is Brenda Rossi. Name and address for the record, please.
Brenda Rossi, 127 Chester Street.
I just wanted to remind everyone that August 6th is our National Night Out from 5 to 8, and that's when we honor police, firefighters, EMTs, and we just all have a good time. So the LNAP, which is the Lawrence Neighborhood Association Partnership, is supporting 3 neighborhood associations who are having their National Night Out. The first one's going to be at Storrow Park, and that's Prospect Hill, District A. The next one is Colonial Heights, which is 29 Durso Ave. And the third one is going to be at Mount Vernon Park, and that's South Lawrence West neighborhood. And the president of the Tower Hill Neighborhood Association is also joining us for ours. So we look forward to seeing you all on August 6th. And there will be a motorcade, I believe, going around the city to the 3 events. So
importance.
see you then. Thank you.
Thank you. The next person that we have is Rich Russell. Name and address for the record, please. Councilor Russell.
Good evening, councilors. I'm Richard Russell, 34 Cross Street. Tonight is gripe night. First, over the weekend on the Common, some sort of event was being held at the bandstand. I know that when these permits are issued, parking on the Common is not allowed. There were about 20 cars parked on the Common. Why and how? Next, last Tuesday night, one of the hottest nights of the year, DPW workers turned off the spray pipe. It's on Haverhill Street at 6:15 p.m. Why? Don't the children deserve to be cooled off? Next, the biggie. I will include the MSPC animal abuse phone number in case you want to turn me in for beating a dead horse. The phone number is 1-800-628-5808, anytime between 9 a.m. 5 p.m. Last Tuesday evening, plans were put forth to improve the bandstand area of the Common. 1,182 nights ago, on April 2nd, 2021, a similar meeting took place at Rowell Park. Photos and plans were shown and discussed. The powers that be said the design work would begin shortly and funding source would be located. Since then, Rowell Park has been pushed to the back of the stove, and designs and financing were found both for Cronin Park and Donovan Park. When an individual from Groundworks Lawrence was asked, he pretty much said that Rowell Park has been pushed off the back of the stove. Lastly, when is work going to be started on replaquing the Toomey, Melendez, and Stockton Parks? This item was passed by the council in March with the proviso that the money would come out of the FY 2025 budget. The FY 2025 budget money is here. I would like to see some of that money being used for what it was allocated for before it is totally wasted. I said lastly previous, but this is another lastly. Why was the Arlington School chosen for solar panels? Why not the Frost, or the SLE, or the Weatherby, or the high school? Are solar panels in the construction plans for the Oliver and the Leahy schools? It seems strange that a lot of money is going into certain areas of the city while other areas are being ignored, but that's just my humble opinion. As always, I thank you for the time.
Thank you, Councilor Russell. Right on time. The next person that we have on the list is Luis Robles. Name and address for the record, please.
Luis Robles, 183 Abbott Street. This weekend we saw how the rhetoric politically almost caused an attempt for an assassination. And I wanted to bring that here because there's also been like a rhetoric going on locally, whether it's between council members or between councilors and the mayor's office or employees. And I just wanted to urge everyone that, well, obviously I don't think it's something that will turn into an assassination attempt locally. That's not what I'm saying. But when we have all this rhetoric going on, what we're doing is we're creating a bias, and sometimes we can be against or for certain ideas without actually debating them just because it's an us versus them. So I just want to urge everyone to stop vilifying each other and just debate the ideas for what they are individually versus creating enemies and closing doors, because everybody has good intentions, but if you vilify each other, then we can't actually make progress because our bias can hold us back. And I also wanted to mention the problem that we have with the motorbikes in the city. I know everyone is already aware of that. It's like beating a dead horse. But I would urge the Public Safety Committee members to please put more pressure on the police department and ask them for an actual concrete plan for what they're doing. The chasing around is obviously not working. They need some kind of a plan to intercept these people that are doing this. So please, Public Safety Committee, I urge you guys to please put more pressure on the police and ask them for an actual concrete plan for the public. Thank you.
Thank you. All these names are going to be submitted for the record.
I would like
Councilmember?
to speak, add something for
participation?
public participation on behalf of a resident.
All right, Council Memo is asking for personal privilege to speak on public participation. By all means, go ahead.
So, City Council members, my name is Vivian Marmo. I'm your City Councilor for District D, and I would like to read this into the record on behalf of resident Plantila Brito, home residents of 81 Bradford Street, Lawrence, Mass. 01840. Dear City Council members, it has been brought to my attention of the constant issue of parking. The affected areas are Bradford and Franklin Street and intersects with Broadway. Every day after work, I struggle to find parking and have to park further from my home and walk at night to get my car closer to my home. The business owners and clients who enter the barbershops and salons are also blank because I cannot read what was written there. The problem with owners and I am requesting for the area to be surveyed in the hopes of the city finding a solution to residents who are unable to find parking near their home. I appreciate your attention to this matter, and there are 13 signatures attached to this letter. And that is the end of it. I also wanted to speak on behalf of myself for public participation.
Go ahead.
Okay. So Vivian Marmo, 341 Water Street. I'm also here representing myself as a city council member for District D. And I appreciate that Ms. Brenda Rossi mentioned National Night Out and mentioning three locations to which this event will take place. So I wanted to take this opportunity to also include and speak and have it on record that I thought that it was super important that due to Tower Hill Neighborhood Association deciding to collaborate with the Mount Vernon Neighborhood Association, I found it to be extremely important that that Tower Hill is being representative of the residents that they serve, which is why, along with myself and our city council president, in addition to the invitation that will be extended to all the city councilors who are not part of a neighborhood association, in addition to our fellow city councilor representing the Tower Hill area as well, which is Mr. Gregory del Rosario, which is representing District C, that we will also be hosting National Night Out at the Reservoir Park with the hours of 5 to 8 p.m. And I encourage everyone to come out and participate. This is going to be a community event in collaboration with the Lawrence Police Department in hopes to have some fun and making sure that we are educating the youth and we're having them involved with the elected officials that are representing them. Thank you.
Thank you. The letter and their comments is going to be submitted for the record. Without further notice, we're going to continue with the agenda.
Council President,
Councilor Plant?
I'd like to know if, through you, if Angel Noble is here this evening. Is Angel, he is here. I'd like to take something off the table of matters for the idea of giving a presentation for him. The document is document number 170-19 off of table of matters.
Do you mind reading the item?
The item is, 179 is resolutions, recognitions of Lawrence academic achievers.
By all means, Councilor Plant.
Second.
Can I have a motion, you actually have a motion, right?
It's a motion to take off the table.
Yeah, motion,
Second.
it's been properly second by Councilor Vice President Infante. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Councilor Plant, you have the floor. You didn't sign that.
Thank you very much, Council President. Stand right next to me. Here we go. So, as you know, we've been going through this for some time now, and it gives me great pride, and I think all of us great pride, frankly, to recognize those individuals who go to our schools who have achieved excellence. Not just ordinary excellence, but the top excellence, the very top of their class. And I want to have you pronounce that, your last name. So it's Angel Salce Noble? Yes. Did I pronounce that correctly? So if I can just call you Angel, that would be a lot easier for me. And I had a chance to meet him at graduation. And I'm going to read the citation here, but I will tell you, I've met a lot of valedictorians and top achievers throughout. When I shook this young man's hand, he shook it strong and firm and looked me right in the eye, and I said, congratulations. And he said to me, thank you very much for recognizing that. I appreciate it. And that, listen, I got kids his age, and they don't do that. So when I find someone who is as confident in their abilities and confident and have the kind of people skills, in addition to the kind of intellect that he possesses, it impresses me, and I think it should impress all of us. So without further ado, Angel, if you don't mind, we as a city council really recognize that you're at the top of your craft. You're the valedictorian of Lawrence High's class of 2024. And as a junior, you received the Yale Book Award. You were highly involved in leadership and community engagement, and you've been very involved in your personal educational development. Not that this should be of any concern to any of us, but he served as a senior class president, so already he's won an elected office at the high school and was a member of the National Honor Society and served on its governing board. You were getting involved in early college classes to get a head start at Merrimack College. You took AP classes, honor level courses, and you're also involved athletically. You're involved as a member of the JV and varsity track and field team. By the way, what was your event?
Hurdles.
Okay, so you're a jumper. Yes. Okay. Straight lines and jumping. Okay, good. What was your GPA, by the way?
4.6.
4.6 out of 4.0. So, of course, that's very impressive. Angel will be attending Boston University, that we all know is a highly prestigious school and very difficult to get into. Congratulations. And you're looking to pursue a career in finance.
Yes.
So all of us as members of Lawrence City Council recognize your achievement, recognizing the excellence that you have exposed, and that we want to send this resolution to you and give you every good wish as you go forward into Boston and representing the city in your special way, and I hope that you come back and visit us as often as possible. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. I just want to say thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for having me here, and it's definitely a great pleasure to be able to come out here and be recognized. So I'm very, very grateful for the opportunity, and thank you so much.
So why don't you walk around there and shake their hands in the front of the dress.
Well done. I'll tell you.
Councilors, can I have a motion for a 3-minute recess? Has been made, probably seconded by Councilor LaPlante. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And the ayes have it.
Just stay right there.
Motion to get out of recess?
So there is a motion on the table? Second. Properly second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Let's go on top of the agenda. There is no public hearing tonight. Communication from the mayor, there is none. And we're gonna go straight up to our committee reports.
Angel, you're all set.
Thank you. Fidelina, Jennifer, ¿estamos en el meeting ya? All right, we're gonna go straight to Budget and Finance Committee. Madam Vice President Infante, and Chair of the Budget and Finance Committee.
The Budget and Finance Committee met last week, and the first item on our list is item 437A-23, solar PPA and lease contracts with Select Electric for City Hall, which will include 150 solar panels, and for the Arlington School, which will include 600 solar panels. The Budget and Finance Committee sent this up as a committee report, and I make that as a formal motion.
There is a motion on the
Second.
table as a committee report. This is just for the committee report to accept it at this level. So any discussions on the committee report? There is none. All those in favor about the committee report, please say aye.
Aye.
Any noes? The ayes have it. Now we're going to discuss the potential approval of that potential contract of 20 years for item 437A-23, which is the solar PPA and lease contract with a Solar Select for the City Hall, 150 panels, and the Arlington School, 600 solar panels. We have Emil that is here with us. He is the energy advisor of the mayor. Anil, welcome, and name and address for the record.
Anil Naukal, advisor to the mayor, City of Harwich. Thank you.
You have the floor. Please explain.
Gentlemen, thank you for this opportunity. What we have done is we have created a reasonably good size presentation so that all of you can actually look at the whole proposal. We have a chat from the Solar Energy here to explain the whole project so that you have a good idea. We will be here to answer all the questions and answers. There are two projects in front of you. There is one on the City Hall, and second one is in Arlington School. These both projects will have a rooftop solar that's being proposed, and we are requesting you to weigh in on it and vote on it. There is a certain deadline for Arlington School that we are working against within 2 days. If the committee approves it, we can go ahead with that project. Otherwise, that project gets stalled. So I think Chad can explain more of all of this. So thank you, Chad, for coming and explaining everything. So please,
Sure.
Go ahead.
Hello, councilors. Thanks for having me back. For those of you that I haven't met yet, my name is Chad Kuchar from Select Energy. I'm a director of business development. Purpose here today, actually, before I get started, if I could, I did receive a text from someone on the video that said it was muted. They couldn't hear anything. It's actually Walter from Power Options who will be making some comments tonight.
No sé if they can. Hello.
No, he said it's all set.
All set? Okay, thank you. So, again, the reason I'm here tonight is to discuss two solar projects for city property with the purpose of producing long-term cumulative savings over a 20-year period. To develop these projects, we need the city council's approval to authorize the mayor to execute the power purchase agreement and the lease of property. From an agenda standpoint, I'm not sure if you have copies of what I have in front of you. sorry if you have to look behind you. I'll just speak briefly for those that aren't familiar with our company about Select Energy, your energy consultant, Power Options, and their procurement model, as well as the overall solar program, how the procurement is done, the contracting process, what a power purchase agreement is versus a outright ownership model, as well as the City of Lawrence project summaries summing up the savings available to the city, and then at the end, what the next steps could be. So I want to talk briefly about Select Energy. We're a non-residential solar developer out of Hopkinton. We've got about 100 employees, 100 W-2 employees here in Massachusetts. We've been around since 2009, installed 750 or so commercial scale projects, warehouses, industrial complexes, higher ed, school districts, large scale solar projects, not residential. We design them, finance them, install them, service them, monitor, maintain them, insure them, everything out of headquarters in Hopkinton. We are DCAM certified. Most importantly to this process, though, is we recently won a Power Options RFP, which allows us to leverage some Mass General law to contract directly with public entities without you or any other public entity having to go through their own competitive procurement, because the organization that you're a member of has done that work previously. I won't get into the details of that in a minute. Just to be clear, the city is a member of the Power Options organization. You're currently buying third-party electric supply from through them. That was
Dad, I'm here, by the way, if you can hear me.
Sorry, Walter Gray from Power Options is dialing in remotely. I don't want to steal his thunder. I'll let him address this slide.
Thanks, Chad. Hi, everybody. I'm sorry I couldn't make it there in person. I'm Walter Gray. I'm the Solar Program Manager at Power Options. Power Options is a nonprofit energy buying consortium. So we're a nonprofit ourselves. We operate a 500-plus member consortium. Our role is to go out to competitive bid and set up buying programs that our members can take advantage of. So as Chad mentioned, Lawrence is a Power Options member. You pay an annual dues payment, which funds our operations, including conducting these programmatic scale procurements, setting up these buying programs, paying attorneys, consultants, staff time, lobbying, etc. The idea is to provide our members with a streamlined transactional pathway for energy and energy-related products and services. We can move to the next slide, please. One of the programs that we offer is a solar program. So that's what we're here for today. So we've been in the solar business for coming up on 12 years. It was prompted because our members were getting solicited by different solar developers. They didn't know who was a reputable company, what was a good deal. And so we decided to launch a solar program to solve that on behalf of our members. We've done a lot of projects so far. We have over 90 megawatts completed through our program. It's across 150 projects, delivering over $170 million worth of savings to our members. This is all based on a competitive procurement. So we go out to bid. It's very competitive because the offer is that the winner of the RFP process gets access through our program to our 500-plus member consortium. Very valuable sales tool for our program suppliers, but they have to win the procurement, which is very competitive. So what we set up within the context of that competitive procurement is the pricing model. So we pre-negotiate pricing on a dollar per watt build cost basis, which you'll see if as you look at the numbers for the purchase option for these projects. We also negotiate a pricing methodology to calculate PPA rate, and we'll go into that in a moment. We pre-negotiate the contract template so that it'll hopefully save our members some attorney's fees and get them terms and conditions and consumer protections that would otherwise not be achievable without the scale of the Power Options consortium behind it. Very consequential here is our enabling statute, MGL Chapter 164, Section 137. This specifically allows public entities to participate in our programs without having to conduct an RFP, which you'd otherwise be required to do under municipal procurement law, specifically if you were to do a PPA and enter into a lease associated with the PPA. You can skip to the next slide. Thank you. We've been working with Select since 2015. They won an RFP originally just to build small projects under our program. We had a different solar provider for large projects, and due to their competitiveness on price and non-price factors, they've been significantly growing their business to a point where we felt comfortable with them and selecting them in our most recent RFP process for large projects as well as small projects. So our program offers power purchase agreements, and like I said, we'll talk a little bit about that in a moment, or system purchases, as well as battery storage. And at the bottom, you can see some examples of our projects. On the left is Haverhill City Hall, and you can go to the next slide, please. You want to take this one, Chad?
Yeah, I'd love to. Thank you. This slide sums it up pretty well, what we're recommending. You do have options. You could do nothing. You can purchase the array yourselves. What we're recommending is it's called a power purchase agreement. We actually, as a corporation, we're a tax-paying entity. We can take the tax benefits where the city can't take an ITC tax credit, although there are other options. There is no upfront cost to the city. So there is a cost to purchasing the power from the array, but as far as the construction goes, that's something we take on with our development dollars. We build it, we're the owner, we're responsible for it. We insure it. You know, if there's property taxes associated with it, they're paid. It's 100% our responsibility. One of the power options requirements when we won the RFP was that if we offer you a power purchase agreement rate, we need to keep it the same for a 20-year period. That's one of the biggest drivers here. As the utility, National Grid, continues to raise their electric rates, the electricity that you're getting from the roofs stays the same from 2024 to 2044. And that generates quite a bit of savings, which I'll get to in a minute. And just to be clear, Select Energy is the developer. We build, we do the construction. Power Options, who's our partner, is actually, I guess, for lack of a better term, is on your side of the table, right? They manage us. They look at our pricing. They monitor the whole process to make sure that we're in line with the original competitive procurement. So we do it, like I said, install, finance, back-end maintenance. We monitor these in real time. We'll know something's wrong with it before you do. We have production guarantees. So if we tell you we're going to put 600 panels on the roof of the Arlington School and you're going to save X, we're responsible for producing that power and delivering it. And if not, there are damages due to the city. So there's some protection there. Pre-negotiated contracts, we tried to be respectful of the process, get the agreements to the city attorney as quickly as possible last year. They've been reviewed, and I'm told that they're okay with the language within the pre-negotiated contracts. And then Walter already addressed the enabling statute there were some questions in the beginning of why don't we have to go out to RFP. Being a member of this organization relieves you of that obligation. Before I move on from this slide, are there any questions on any of those items up there?
No, you might continue.
Thank you. I wanted to address this engagement process up here just to kind of let you know where we started and where we sit today. So the summer of 2023, I actually met the mayor at one of Lawrence's largest employers, the GEM Group. He was impressed with what we had done over there, the scope and the savings that we were providing one of your businesses, and had brought us in to just have some conversations, and it evolved into getting a list of about 40 properties. And Anil and I had taken a very significant amount of time to go through those properties, address by address, roof by roof on Google Earth, looked on National Grid's map. There was a question earlier, why Arlington School and not some other properties? The truth of the matter is there isn't a lot of places that we can get an approval to build a service project, a solar project from National Grid in Lawrence right now. This area, the area of the Arlington School, we were able to get approvals, and I can get into the details of that. But quite a bit of due diligence, feasibility work, dealing with National Grid, almost a year of back and forth with them, had resulted in 2 approvals. A few of your buildings, DPW, NECE, these failed structural. It probably is cost prohibitive to upgrade the structure of those buildings to get those size solar arrays. So really, we're focused on these 2 properties, although optimistically, with new schools being built, other buildings getting new roofs, and the grid opening back up in the coming years, there's an opportunity to do dozens of these types of projects in the city. So we did sign a letter of intent with the mayor's office authorizing us to engage with the utility. And like I said, we spent some of our own development dollars, which is normal, on application fees and stamp drawings and structural engineering reviews to get these projects to the point where they're literally shovel-ready. Like if the agreements were to get signed, they could be immediately start construction after permitting. So there's where we are today, 7/16/24. The construction could happen imminently if we were to receive approval from the city council. I did briefly want to address something related to the Arlington School. So that's a much larger project than City Hall, right? City Hall is about as small as you would get as far as a commercial scale project. Arlington School is about an average size project, 300 kilowatts, 600 panels. The area of the city over there actually had, everyone, if you know what a substation is, it's some electrical equipment owned by the utility, is at capacity, and it requires some equipment to be attached to it to allow for the Arlington School to come online. And we were actually billed $56,000 by National Grid back in April, and they gave us 60 business days to make a decision and pay a portion of it by Thursday, right? Sounds a little bit like a fire drill, but we've been talking about this at Budget and Finance Committee meetings, coming back and forth, and trying to do our best to make the case that it's a good project. So some action will need to be taken. If it isn't taken, National Grid will just follow their standard process and just cancel the project, and we would have to start over at a later date through their whole engineering review. Let me just jump into the 2 financial models, because this has come up quite a bit in the Budget and Finance Committee meetings. Do we buy the system? Do we allow a third party to own it, maintain it, operate it, and take some incremental savings versus some direct savings? I'll get into that right now. So as I mentioned before, we recommend that we own it. We're a professional solar company. We've got many years of expertise, a large headcount to take care of these types of systems. We have the funding, we have the tax appetite. Really, we're a well-oiled machine when it comes to working on these types of projects, and we've done roughly 180 of them across many school districts, colleges, state colleges, the state itself, many cities and towns across the Commonwealth. So we would own the project for a 20-year period. We would lease the roof space. The financial benefit to you would be that you would buy that power at a discount from what you can currently get it for from National Grid. I looked at some statistics, and since 1990, in Massachusetts, electric rates have gone up around 2.25, 2.5% every year on average. Some years a lot more, some years 0. Some years they went down, but on average, they're continuing to rise. We propose that we own the system, give you a rate today through the Power Options Program, and fix it and lock that in for you. You could purchase it for sure. You would need funding, you would need financing. You would need to apply to the federal treasury for essentially a direct pay benefit or a grant, which is 30%. I'll talk about it a little more later. If you use a certain type of bond financing to get that done, they make you take a haircut on that, and it's 15%. So you'd still have to come up with 85% of the project cost out of your own funds. So there's a major benefit there to owning it, but there's also upfront costs and ongoing, ongoing, I guess you could say, advantages and disadvantages. So with the PPA, power purchase agreement, no capital expense to the city. You are not responsible for maintenance, service, monitoring. It really is our personal property sitting on top of your real property, and you're just benefiting it from the reduced price of the electricity. So we monetize the investment tax credit. There's no secret there. We're a company making an investment. Florence would benefit by reduced electric cost over a long period of time. That's a very low-risk proposition, that we are paying for it, we're delivering discounted electricity, insuring it, monitoring, maintaining it. But like I said on the slide here, it's incremental savings. If you're paying X, you'll be paying slightly less for the green energy coming off your own roof. On the ownership model, all the savings is yours. If the project costs $700,000 and you can get 15% of it from the federal government and then bond finance the rest, then that's your responsibility. You would hire a company like us to service it, right? But there's a cost associated with that. Ongoing O&M, like I said, there's some things that would need to be done for you to get the money from the Treasury. I'm sure you could figure it out. Most public entities are opting to do the power purchase agreement, and I'll run those numbers right now. Actually, Walter was able to provide this data, which I thought was pretty interesting.
Yeah, Chad, can I take a slide, please?
Absolutely, thank you.
Sure. So I put this together just to help give some context. So things changed in 2023, calendar 2023, with the passing of the Inflation Reduction Act. One of the things that it did for renewable energy is that it made this investment tax credit, ITC, which is applicable to solar projects, and it's pretty hefty. It's 30%. So previous to the passage of the Inflation Reduction Act, this was only able to be monetized as a credit against your federal tax liability. So no wonder everyone went with PPAs, because that's a way to monetize this tax credit by essentially routing it through a for-profit company. Since the passage of this, we've had a lot more interest in nonprofits and public entities buying projects, because this ITC is now able to be accessed via a direct pay option, where they will, the IRS will just essentially write you a check for the value. So since that happened, and Anil asked me to look at these numbers, and there's still a pretty heavy weighting toward power purchase agreements. We do have some purchases under a program by municipalities. Most of them tend to prefer power purchase agreements. And the big question is why? Because as you look at the numbers in the next slides, you'll see that there's a delta there. There is more financial benefit associated with owning it. My job isn't to try and sway you one way or the other. It's mainly, in my view, to make sure that you're making an informed decision. The big key reasons why they decide to do PPAs is, as I put here, there is an element of risk and responsibility associated with owning solar projects. And I hear it all the time from our members who buy projects, and 8 years down the line, after a couple key employee turnovers, they lose sight of them, lose track of them, and they fall into disrepair. These financial return numbers you'll see, which are associated with owning the systems on the next slide, require that the system produces at or near, this is a PPA summary, but we can just back up a slide for a moment, please. But these financial targets require that the project operates at full capacity. Yes, you can outsource that via an O&M contract with a company like Select. In my experience, that doesn't always happen. So my advice to the city would be that if you were contemplating a purchase, it's crucial to be ready to assume those responsibilities associated with ownership. This is not a set it and forget it. The second element is the investment tax credit monetization. So the way that would work is that you sign a contract with Select to build the project. You count on that 30% ITC, which you'll see on the next slides is baked into the financial numbers. But that's your responsibility to run it down and actually get it. So my concern on behalf of our members is that can be an expensive process. 2023 is the first tax year for which this ITC was available to be received via a direct pay. So we're, the first round of applications went in early 2024. It might be all ironed out by the time you're ready to do it. It might cost a fair bit of money to go hunt down and actually receive. So that's my 2 cents, guidance to the city. I'll pass it over to Chad to go through the numbers.
Thanks, Walter.
So,
Before you go to the numbers, just to be fair to the process, you guys gonna present numbers when it comes to leasing the panels, the solar panels. So if you discuss the potential ownership, we also would like to see numbers as of owning the panels. So since we've been discussing both possibilities.
I have
Okay.
both, yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. So the first project that I have, and I realize this is an eye chart, and I'll be brief on this one, is City Hall. So this is the power purchase model. I'll get to the ownership model in a minute. We would own this project. We would place those panels. They would sit there for 20 years. And if you look in the lower right-hand corner here, it looks to be about $86,000 in net savings. That is a reduction in electric cost on the meter in this very building. Now, I've heard that that seems like a pretty modest level of savings. This project does have an above-average build cost due to some items like cranes and things like that in the relatively small size. But the PPA rate was calculated and run by Power Options and approved. Right now, you're spending around 18 cents per kilowatt hour all in for supply and delivery. Anil actually has some data that's actually gone up. So this savings that I have here in the lower right-hand corner seems to be a little conservative. So I guess the question is, between this model and the following model, which I realize is another eye chart, this project is, let me see here. Just bear with me 1 second. So it's a $215,000 project if the city were to purchase it. And the idea would be you would apply to the federal government for either a 30% direct pay benefit, or if you use certain types of financing, a 15% direct pay benefit. The difference is if you own it and you're responsible for paying for it and maintaining it for a 20-year period, you achieve $221,000 in savings on the electric bill for this meter in this building versus $86,000 if we own it and offer you an incremental savings between what National Grid charges and what Power Options allows us to charge under the program.
Is the rate for the energy calculated on both situations the same?
Yes, so the, both buildings have a G3 meter with National Grid, and between your municipal aggregation rate, or the rate you get from Power Options for the supply, and the delivery charges from National Grid, I had calculated 17.69 cents per kilowatt hour total on a recent electric bill, but my understanding is Anil has gotten an even more up-to-date bill, and that rate is actually a little higher than what I have on this document. So the savings would be greater in both scenarios. Now, I think the prize here really is the Arlington School. We applied for 5 projects with National Grid. They said no to 3 of them and allowed for 2 of them. And I'll give you an example. I live in Attleboro. The mayor down there and the city council is begging for solar. My kids go to those schools. We can't get a single project approved in the city limits of Attleboro. All the substations are over capacity. So there is an opportunity here to kind of strike while the iron's hot, while we have National Grid's approval. You can get projects approved, and unfortunately, I can't locally. But with the Arlington School, much larger project, 600 panels producing 340,000 kilowatt hours. You're currently paying 16.5 cents for electricity at that location on that meter. It's been approved by Power Options that we would be allowed to charge 11.75 cents all in for supply and delivery, right, of the electricity from that roof. So there's annual incremental savings in the far right-hand corner, and then there's the cumulative savings in the lower left-hand corner of just over $600,000 back to the city that you would no longer be giving National Grid, that you could use on other initiatives or other budget items besides ever-rising electric costs. I do have the Arlington School estimate as well. Much larger project. This is a $791,000 project. That's, again, been reviewed and approved by Power Options if you were to purchase it. All the savings would come directly to you, but you would also have some operations and maintenance expense, which I outlined there, projected over a 20-year period. So instead of $600,000 if we own it and you have no upfront cost, you have an upfront cost of $791,000 and achieve $1.1 million in savings over a 20-year period. So much more savings, but there's an investment on the front end if you own it.
Global in both cases.
Were there any questions on the
Council President.
financial models? Excuse me, sorry.
Do you have anything else that you should add?
I'm sorry, anything else to?
Do you want to add to the presentation before we open up the conversation for discussion?
Sure. I think there was questions asked before, who else is doing this? Who else is, participating? We'd put together a slide, some higher ed institutions, state colleges. We have 33 projects at Harvard. I bring that up because they don't do business with just anybody. They vet their vendors quite a bit, and we've got a lot of success there. Tufts, Stonehill College, Bridgewater State, Salem State, many, many school districts. We're doing business with the city of Boston, the city of Worcester, and many cities and towns. So I did want to just, this last slide, touch on this briefly. Anything that you see in bold up here in the top has been completed, so we're done. Environment, or electrical engineering, dealing with the utility, state incentive applications have been filed and approved. Interconnections, pricing has been approved by Power Options. My concern is, whether I can get approval from my company to make that $14,000 payment to National Grid on Thursday electronically without the city council's approval of these projects, because we've already invested well over $10,000, closer to 20, in engineering fees, structural engineering fees, application fees, stamp drawings, and things like that. So we really are at the point where if you find that you do want to do these two projects, we need to get back to National Grid relatively quickly. And again, it's their timeline and their deadline, not ours, right?
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
So we are going to open this item for discussion. Let me just recap about the item. We have item We have item 437A23, which is the solar PPA and lease for with contract with Solar Select for the City Hall, 150 solar panels, and the Arlington School, 600 solar panels. This contract is, this vote will represent a contract that is either 20 or 25 years, according to the slides that we have here, depending on the motion. So, Councilor, with that said, I will entertain a motion before we open up for discussion. We don't have another line motion, right? Councilors, there is a motion?
Motion to approve for 20 years?
There is a motion to approve the contract for the next 20 years. Well, to approve a contract that is being reviewed by the city attorney. Can I hear a second? Can I hear a second? Motion dies for lack of a second.
I'll second it for discussion purposes.
All right. So let's go back. Can I hear a motion again? Since the first one died.
Motion to approve for 20 years.
All right. There is a motion to approve for 20 years.
Second.
There is a second for discussion purpose.
Discussion.
Councilor Vice President Infante.
Thank you. Through you, Council President. As you all know, we've been going back and forth on this at the Budget and Finance Committee level, but there was a comment made during public participation that did not occur to me during those conversations. And it was the comment of how the Arlington school was selected and why not other schools within the city of Lawrence have been selected. I want to know the how, the why this school, and did we look at other schools? What did National Grid say about other schools, and any information that you can provide about that? Thank you.
Thanks for bringing that up. So National Grid has a public website that has a map on it that is color-coded, showing the saturation of the grid. And so we try to target areas smartly and apply for projects that we know have a likelihood of getting approved. So I can be glad to send you that map. On a color scale, dark red is bad, orange is okay. Almost the whole entire city is covered in red distribution lines, the electric wires that go down all the streets in Lawrence. There's schools that we knew we would never get interconnection approval from National Grid.
Do you have a list? Can you state those schools?
Yeah, so Anil had given me a list of 40 properties in a spreadsheet, and I went down every single one of them. There was 2 new schools to be built. It's too early to apply for those because the interconnections are only good for 12 months with National Grid. So if you apply and they expire, it almost doesn't make sense to apply too early.